So this is how we're going to start off the stream. Ladies and gentlemen, on the last stream, I covered the fact that news was coming out of Gamescom that the Elden Ring port for the Switch 2 was running like... And then news also came out of Gamescom that Sparking Zero would also be running like... Now, if you want any life advice, if there's anything you pick up in this stream before we start talking about today's news, pattern recognition is such a beautiful thing to learn because it will help you in so many ways in life. First time, it was an accident. Second time, it was a coincidence. But that third time, and even more than three, that's a pattern. That is the key to beating bosses in video games. That's the key to not getting finessed by evil people. It's the key to a lot of different things. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to say, I think I spotted a pattern. Borderlands 4 reportedly runs horrendously on the Switch 2. Now, according to DualShockers, it's not much longer now. Borderlands fans. Borderlands 4, the newest entry in the long-running looter shooter franchise from Goot. I was about to say, what the fuck is a Goot? From Gearbox, the goddamn Gootbox. That sounds like a slur, fucking Gootbox. Is set to release on September 12th for Xbox, PS5, and PC. Now, there's one console not listed on there, the humble Switch 2. That's because Gearbox is spending a little more time trying to get that version of the game just right before its launch on October 3rd. According to some reports from Gamescom, they'll need all the time they can get. According to Epic NNG on Twitter, X formerly known as Twitter, who I'm not gonna lie, if you call Twitter X, I already know where you stand politically. The Gamescom demo for Borderlands 4 on the Switch is leaving a not to be desired taste in people's mouth. So according to this dude on Twitter, okay, I'll just put it bluntly. Borderlands 4 on the Switch 2 could barely run at 30 frames per second with 4 enemies on the screen in docked mode. Not the mobile mode, docked mode, which is supposed to have more horsepower.
But this won't be enough to fund the...
Yo, shout out to CJ with the super chat. I appreciate it.
What's good, everybody? I hope we're also TBA.
Yeah, I don't like that boxing robot shit.
Too close to iRobot or Terminator.
I appreciate the super chat. I don't like that boxing robot shit. Also, I saw earlier somebody in the YouTube chat. I didn't get to answer him. How do you sub? Somewhere on the screen, it should say become a member or like join member. Does anybody know the button? It should be on the screen. The word is like membership or something like that. That's what they call subs. But anyways, it had horrendous input delay and the render resolution was seemingly turned all the way down. They turned the graphics down to potato mode. I'll talk about it more in a video maybe tomorrow. They added that they were unable to kill enemies without a huge stutter and noticed that other players experienced the same issues with the demo. Of course, your mileage may vary as there's video evidence of the game running well on the Switch 2 hardware alongside other third-party games such as Cyberpunk 2077. If there are performance issues though, Borderlands 4 isn't the only third-party game to have this issue. And you know what's funny about this article? I wish this would have came out yesterday instead of this morning. We talked about this. We recorded a podcast yesterday. We talked about it and we were talking about, should we be worried about this? Is the Switch 2 another Wii U type situation on our hands? We're like, because the reports are coming out that Elden Ring runs terrible on the Switch 2 and Elden Ring is a 3-year-old game. And then Ethos said, well, to be fair, you know, Elden Ring is not the most optimized game. So we all kind of agree. And I was like, yeah, you know, that's fair. But then I was like, well, what about Dragon Ball Sparking Zero? That's not even a graphically intensive game. It's a cell shaded game. And it's running at an 800 resolution at 30 frames per second, that fast paced game. So I was like, yeah, if I see one more game though, I was like, I don't know, man. I'm kind of worried about the Switch 2 because I'm like, look how bad these games are running year one. A friendly reminder, the Switch 2 has been out for like a month and a half. This is a new $450 console. Probably going to $500, $550 with these tariffs, and it's struggling to run these new modern day games. It's been 3 months. Goddamn, my fucking brain, time flies. 3 months. It's still a new console that most people don't have. And I'm not gonna lie, this news keeps coming out. I don't feel compelled to buy this shit. Outside of Donkey Kong, I don't feel the need to buy this shit. Also Donkey Kong, they said that shit was dropping frames too. Great game, but it was dropping frames according to all the reviews when there's a lot of explosions on the screen. So we got like a bunch of different examples, and I'm starting to believe where there's smoke, there's fire. We might have another situation on our hands where this is going to be the Zelda Mario machine. You're not going to be able to play anything else, which is unfortunate because I'd imagine there are a lot of kids out there that love Nintendo products and they want to be able to play all their games in handheld mode on the go. I mean, that's why you're buying the Switch. At what point I have to ask for Nintendo, and we're going to keep an eye on this story because it's only 3 examples. It is starting to establish a pattern, but if we start to get more of these stories about developers struggling to develop games for the Switch 2, it then starts to become a conversation of when does Nintendo learn their lesson? Maybe we should start putting a little bit more horsepower under the hood, especially because I'm gonna be honest, I hate to say this because y'all know I'm pro-consumer, but I gotta say it. The Minish Cap Mafia is some of the biggest frauds in the gaming community, okay? They said they were not gonna buy the Switch 2. It was too expensive, especially the games. And when it came out, it was the fastest selling console in gaming history. So that being said, if that's what they did when they said they don't want to buy it, if Nintendo came out for their next console, the Switch 3 or whatever it's going to be, and it's on par with the latest Xbox and the latest PlayStation, but it costs maybe $100 more than the typical Nintendo product. The question then becomes, will the Minish Cap fans buy it? Will the Minish Cap Mafia buy a more expensive platform for Nintendo? I'm here to say, I think they will. Y'all said y'all wouldn't, and y'all did it already. So my thing is, because for those unaware, Nintendo's design philosophy is they purposely put cheaper hardware in their products so that families can afford them. They try to keep their costs down. That way they can manage to get profits sooner than other companies. Because for those unaware, usually when it comes to PlayStation, Xbox, because their hardware is top tier when it first comes out, it usually takes about 2 years on average for these companies to start getting profits for their hardware. Most of their money is coming off the game sales. When the hardware gets a little bit older and it becomes cheaper to manufacture, then they can start making a profit. So usually at the launch of a console, the high-end consoles, they're usually taking a hit. They're fronting the cost, basically. They're subsidizing. And I'm starting to think maybe Nintendo, because like I'd imagine there's people out there that want to be able to play everything on their goddamn Nintendo. Not everybody can afford to have all 3 platforms, or 4 if you want to include the PC. Damn, we know for a fact PS4 niggas can't afford anything. Noted, I didn't know that. Yes, Nintendo has always done that. They purposely make weaker hardware so it's affordable for families, but also it's more affordable for them. They can rake in the profit sooner. But it's like, at what point do we start to say, all right, your product is starting to suffer from it? Maybe it doesn't have to be more powerful than the PS6 or the new Xbox, but just put it on par. You know what I'm saying? It could be a little bit weaker, but put it on par so that, you know, people have more horsepower to work with and develop stuff. This being the 3rd story to come out, and I can't stress this enough, this is the 3rd story to come out about the Nintendo Switch struggling in a week, in the past week. Then you got stories of the Switch 2 heating up in people's lap, burning people's dicks off like fucking Popeye's chicken, just frying that shit. What's going on, man? It sounds like pretty soon, I predict, new prediction, if it keeps going the route, if game development for the Switch 2 keeps going the route that it's going right now, where games are struggling to run on the Switch 2, I predict the Switch 2 in about 2 to 3 years will be frying people's crotches. That's right. You're going to be laying on the bed, or you're going to be sitting on the couch playing the new Zelda, the Mario, whatever it is, and you're having a good time, and the next thing you know, you stand up and your pee-pee, it looks like burnt charcoal, you know? And I wouldn't wish that amongst my biggest enemies, you know? I wouldn't. You're like, what the hell? Santa bought me a lump of coal? Wait a minute, that's my cock. Is it more powerful than a PS4? The reports came out that the Switch 2 is like on par with like the PS4 Pro. But then it's kind of hard to quantify that until more tests are done, because it's still a new platform. Plus the chipset is different because it's a mobile chipset. So like, I think more tests need to be done, but that's what reports claim. This could, because this is only 3 examples we have. So to be fair, like I said, 3rd time it's a pattern. If we start to see 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different games coming out, all complaining they're having trouble optimizing for the Switch 2, I'm going to say it's a platform issue. which sucks, because then unfortunately, if I ever do get a Switch, it's going to become another sit in the closet type of thing until the new Mario game comes out. What up, Ben Llama? I think the only thing that might save the Switch 2 is maybe a new Smash Bros. No, don't get it twisted. The Switch 2 is still sells great. I just wonder how well it will sell in the long run, because people who wanted to buy it got it already, But what about the people who are kind of on the fence? These stories keep coming out. I don't think it's going to help the sales of that. It depends. Nintendo's always been about the first party games. If they have an influx of good first party games, it'll be okay. But I think the Switch 2 could be in trouble if we only get a first party game once every blue moon. And in between that, we just get a bunch of shitty ports that run below 30 frames per second. The graphics are turned down. If that's what the platform becomes known for, kind of like the Wii U, then, we could be in trouble. But I don't know. Not every company is going to make a proper port like Cyberpunk. And that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to figure out how much of this is hardware and how much of this is not knowing how to optimize for the Switch 2. It could be 50-50. We need a little bit more data, but I will say I'm putting a yellow flag on this. They need a Switch 2 Pro now, probably starting at $1,200 with the tariffs. Well, the other problem with handheld stuff is putting enough power into it, but then making sure the battery, because that battery technology still hasn't caught up with handheld technology. That's another issue. And then keeping the platform cool, like you can't put too much power into it. If we, as much as I love these handhelds, if we got to go back to traditional like hardware consoles, so we can have a smooth experience, I'm cool with that. That Final Fantasy VII remake runs well on it, I heard. Did that come out? I didn't even know that came out. Check the Digital Foundry about Final Fantasy VII on the Switch 2. But FF7 remake Switch 2 digital. I didn't even know that shit came out. I don't need ports for games I can run at home on my consoles if we're gonna run like shit, but they be gatekeeping. Yeah, you don't necessarily, but what about the people who only have one platform? Apparently devs are having trouble getting Switch 2 dev kits.
Okay, next.
I think the real test for the Switch 2 is next year when Dust Bloods comes out. The new exclusive game From Software. If that game runs like dog shit, I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna be like, damn, because the argument you can make for Elden Ring is Elden Ring wasn't made for the Switch 2. They're porting it over. But a game that was made exclusively for the platform and it doesn't run well, I'd be kind of worried.
Story
from a third party. Wrong video. It was the second one. This one.
Why, hello there. Welcome to DF Direct Weekly, our weekly show where we discuss the latest technology,
Final Fantasy,
news, and everything else related to video games.
Where's the Final Fantasy section?
I'm John Lindemann. We're back from Gamescom. Richard Ledbetter.
I don't see a section about Final Fantasy. Oh, here we go.
The PS4 and PS5 versions. So we'll see if that holds true for the final game, but that's the sensation I get. And amazingly, I played in handheld mode on the Switch 2. I'm going to say right now, this is the best looking thing I've seen on Switch 2. I've seen that game running at a stable 30 frames per second with that excellent motion blur, especially.
Excellent motion blur. I don't like that.
So
this version is going to blind you.
Fantastic.
It does look good visually, though.
Really stable. It looked on par. Actually, I would say it looked better than the PS4 version at a glance. I feel like it's probably
better than the PS4 version. That's what we like to hear.
I had to guess, and I haven't been able to compare.
It's to mask the frames, probably
somewhere between the PS4 and PS5 versions. So we'll see if that holds true for the final game. But
that sounds to me like the rumors are true. The spec hardware in the Switch 2 is probably on par, if not a little bit stronger than the PS4 Pro.
Sensation I got while playing it. They might have been using DLSS. It's hard to tell when you're looking at the mobile screen, but I saw some elements in the way it was handling aliasing that made me think that it was DLSS. But again, we got to wait and see. But either way, the image quality was absolutely superb. Like it really looked.
Damn, so I'm a PS4 Primate. I hate to say it.
I was really, really happy about that. Right, so that's a good one. The other one, Elden Ring.
Oh, let's see what they're saying.
There were always lines waiting at the show to play this game. I don't know why, but they were there.
Because it's Elden Ring. What kind of question is that?
Get close and peek around the side of the booth a little bit at one point and was watching somebody sort of play it. And my experience, well, let's actually read a couple supporter questions here specifically about this, because I think this is going to sort of springboard into the topic, right? So first we have Baz Lurgan, who says, "Good morning, gentlemen. Longtime watcher, new supporter. With the news that Elden Ring, Tarnished Edition, unfortunately, is a tarnished broken port. I was wondering if you
tarnished broken port. That's funny.
Why do you think this is running so poorly when it runs so well on my Steam Deck?" So Baz Lurgan's Steam Deck runs it well. Then we have Chris James. He says, "Hi team, with a fair
Man, get to it
in your new system." So let's address the first one here, Alex.
All right.
So I actually don't know for sure. Like, we don't actually have any insight into the development on this game currently, but we do know that it is a heavy game, undeservedly so. In many ways.
Yeah, I could see the frames dropping in the back.
Yeah.
And their engine notoriously exhibits issues across a wide range of hardware. But of course, the Steam Deck being a PC, it's also an x86 platform. The game has been well patched. You know, you can customize it and toy with it to your heart's content.
At 824, they talk about the dev kit issue. So maybe it's not a hardware issue, and maybe it's a lack of support from Nintendo. Because if Nintendo wants people to put games on their platform, but they're not supplying dev kits to the developers, that's a support issue. Which ultimately means it doesn't fall on the hardware, but it still falls on Nintendo.
That's what I was thinking about, because there's been a lot of talk about this lately, that Nintendo seems to be almost discouraging Switch 2 development to some degree, where I've spoken with plenty of developers where they were either told,
Do I plan on going to any gaming or anime cons as an influencer or as a guest? Not right now. I'm not gonna hold you. Every time I see a TikTok on my For You page of a convention, it makes me not want to go. I've been to too many already, but like, I seen some TikToks on my For You page about Anime Con in New York City, and they were all about how niggas stink. Till niggas start taking showers. I don't know, man. I don't like being around a lot of germs. I don't know.
They should just ship it on Switch 1 and rely on backwards compatibility. There's a lot of developers that are unable to get Switch.
I think we saw the same ones. It's just like, damn, y'all still not taking showers?
Said the same things. They want to ship on Switch 2. They would love to do Switch 2 versions. They can't get the hardware.
Yeah, that's a support issue. So it might be 50-50 then, like I was saying earlier. It might be a hardware issue, but it also might be a lack of support from Nintendo. Which would be a shame, because then it's like Nintendo fans ran out in droves to buy the Switch 2 just for the platform not to be supported. I would hate to have like a Vita 2 type situation on our hands, where the only thing that's supported is the first party games. But other than that, like, imagine being a studio and begging for a dev kit. Like, yo, we really want to put our game on your platform. We'll get to you. That shit would piss me the fuck off, bruh. That shit would piss me the fuck off. We're going to keep an eye on this Nintendo story, man. We're going to keep an eye on this story. But going back to Anime Con and like any of these cons, I don't understand how you have time to pack your clothes, pack your exclusive Nintendo Pikachu Switch 1 in the suitcase, drive or take a Uber to the airport, hop on the plane, go to the hotel. You also had to book the hotel. Drive, take a Uber to the convention center for 3 days straight, but you never had time to take a shower. You had a time to take a shower before you hopped on the plane. You had time to take a shower after you got off the plane and you got to your fucking, what's that joint? The hotel. You had time to take a shower before you went to the convention, and they still don't do it. And then y'all ask me, am I coming? No. Fucking no. I take my health seriously. I'm 35. My immune system is not getting compromised. I take 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C every day. I don't think that's enough to defeat the cons. Fuck the Decepticons, nigga. Have you seen the Lullycons? Them niggas stink. Those the real Transformers, bruh. Them niggas don't transform. Them niggas don't take a shower, so they transform they BO into a fucking weapon. I can't speak for other cons, but DreamCon and AnimeCon don't be like that. Well, DreamCon makes sense because it's a primarily black convention, so you know niggas shower. So shout out to DreamCon. I saw this on the timeline. I thought this was funny. The quote is, "Bro, the Switch 2 version having poor performance is inexcusable. The Steam Deck can run it flawlessly with older hardware. And then he said, this is the Steam Deck version, which does anybody have a Steam Deck? Does it really look like this on the fucking Steam Deck? I don't believe this shit, bro. This looked like the Switch 2 version. Straight up biohazards, bro. Who got a Steam Deck playing Elden Ring? Do it really look like this? Oh shit! You said no, man. LOL. I felt like this was propaganda. I'm like, I'm pretty sure Ethos has ran it on his Steam Deck. I don't remember him saying it looked like that, bro. The PS1 version, bro. That shit is fucking funny. That is funny. Exactly like that for real on my OLED. Okay, yeah, that's the Game Boy SP version, bro. Other Nintendo news I got for you, if you care about game preservation, for those unaware, gaming has a preservation issue, meaning that, like, you know, when games get older, a lot of times they get lost to time. And then it's getting even worse because now they're releasing less and less physical, to the point where, like, they just released a physical version of Expedition 33 and it's being presented as like some exclusive limited edition item. Like, that's crazy to me. So physical copies are going down. They're pushing digital copies. And the thing about digital games is it allows the people who own the games to control it more, because at any point they can pull it off the store. And we've seen this happen with Ubisoft. And Nintendo is notorious for this, especially with their older games. That's why emulation is so big. And it looks like Nintendo is not trying to do anything for game preservation even further. It's getting even worse. Switch 2 game key cards aren't eligible for Japan's preservation library. One of the world's largest libraries will not consider Nintendo Switch 2 game key cards for preservation. Japan's National Diet Library, which contains almost 10,000 video games in its archives, said that it won't recognize the titles in the game key card format because the game's data is not located within the physical media itself. For those unaware, like, more than half the Switch 2 games, when you buy a physical copy, the game is not actually on the cartridge. You put the cartridge in and it downloads the fucking game. So what the library of preservation in Japan is saying is, we're not going to be storing these games because the game is not on the fucking key, or the cartridge, I mean. Speaking of Famitsu, which is the biggest gaming magazine in Japan, representatives from the National Diet Library said that since a key card on its own does not qualify as content, it falls outside of the library's scope for collection and preservation. Game key cards solely act as authentication keys, allowing the user to download the full game onto their console when inserted. The card must remain in the system in order to play the game, despite the game being installed, but the card can be shared or resold. Several third-party publishers utilize the medium for their Switch 2 releases, including Capcom. So what this means is, if at any point, and this is a super extreme example, there's some type of nuclear holocaust, but for some reason you were lucky enough to get into the Fallout bunker and you bought your Switch 2, but you only own 3 games. When the nukes are done dropping and you go outside with your radiation suit and for some reason you find a copy of Mario Kart or the new Donkey Kong in mint condition, it didn't get blown to smithereens. When you put it in your Switch 2 because you're sad, you're desperate, and looking for a way to escape, that shit ain't gonna fucking work because the Nintendo servers got blown the fuck up. And that is why they are not putting it in the preservation lobby. Now, why is this important? This gives more control to Nintendo. I'm gonna go ahead and predict. I got a new prediction for you. You said not that extreme in 2025? Yo, chill. Chill. Don't do that. Let's not speak that into existence. Chill. This is important. It was a wild example, but I'm just trying to get y'all right. So the reason that this is important is, once again, you don't own anything. And I predict that what Nintendo is going to do is, this generation, they're going to continue to do this. The next generation, when the new Nintendo whatever comes out, console, the Switch 3 or whatever new console, they're going to put these games like Donkey Kong Bonanza and the new Mario Kart World, they're going to put it on their online service. And because you know how they have like the N64 collection and the Game Boy collection, they're going to put it part of the collection and then charge you for it monthly to access it, versus you just being able to hold on to the game and then saying, hey, you know, I feel like playing some old games. And then you go in the closet or you go in your garage, boot up the Switch 2 and just play the game. It's all about fucking control. If you don't know what I'm talking about, think of the Disney Vault. The Disney Vault, like once every 10 to 20 years, they open up the vault and they re-release Bambi and Snow White and whatever other goofy Disney movie that people love, Aladdin, and they say, we've digitally remastered the movie for the first time in a brand new format. Blu-ray Plus. So pay $100,000 and you can never buy that shit again. That's what they're gonna do. Matter of fact, they have done it with the Mario collection a few years ago. That was the first time in 20 years that Nintendo released Super Mario Sunshine, so I had to grab it. Now on the flip side, most of this news is negative, right? But on the flip side, the positive, the one thing as a consumer this is good is, if you are into collecting physical games, you better hold on to them bitches because the prices is going up. It's almost like an investment, especially the more rare like RPG type of games, because preservation is damn near in the toilet. If you own actual physical copies of games, at some point when these consoles become old, they're going to be worth something. Because there's always collectors out there that cherish those type of things. But, you know, take the good, you take the bad, and there you have the facts of life. The facts of life. Y'all don't know about that. And despite all this negative news around the hardware, around the lack of game preservation, for some reason, former PlayStation boss says Nintendo, he praises Nintendo for being in touch with their fan base. Sean Layden, formerly the president and CEO of Sony Interactive and executive vice president, CEO of the Sony Network, has came out and praised Nintendo for being the most in touch with its fan base. In an interview with a clown, Layden says that the reason Nintendo hasn't suffered from the same amount of slowdown as other publishers post-COVID is because the company's been very intentional in what lane they play in, by specifically focusing on who their fans are and what their fans want. Layden believes that no one is more in touch with their fan base than Nintendo. Even PlayStation was never this in touch with the fan base as Nintendo is that as gaming sales and revenue climbed during the pandemic, other publishers decided to chase the curve by hiring more people. All right, bro, I got to call cap on this story. So the reason why Nintendo stocks are doing pretty decent, I know because I got money in it. This is not financial advice. It goes back to what I said earlier. Nintendo always had this design philosophy. We are going to use cheaper parts. We're going to sell an underpowered platform so that we can rake in profits sooner. So even if the tariffs hit, it's not going to hit as hard as it hits Sony and it hits Xbox, because they were never trying to use the top of the line specifications. So it's easier for Nintendo to hit a profit. The profit might be smaller because of the tariffs, but it's easier for them to hit the profits. Also, another reason I don't agree that the only reason I think that he even says they're in touch is because the sales are decent. But here's the thing. You can't say Nintendo's in touch when the fans said that we don't like the price of the product and then they went out and bought it. And this is why I said numbers are the most important things to these CEOs. That's the only thing they care about. Numbers. And this is why it's important to vote with your wallet. The reason he's praising Nintendo is Nintendo fans made the Switch 2 one of the best-selling consoles of all time in terms of early sales, right? So they're looking at the numbers. He's like, oh, they're in touch. But then it's only because of the fans not standing on business. Y'all said y'all wasn't going to buy this shit. You bought it. And now he's out there saying, look, you're not in touch with the fan base. The fan base said they don't like the price of this. It's just these niggas lack self-control. So really what Sean Layden should be praising is the Minish Cap Mafia's lack of self-control. So he's right and he's wrong at the same. This is the consumer's fault. This is where I play, but fuck all that group economic shit, bro. Give me some fucking VC. Yeah, the FOMO is what got them. So I'd argue Nintendo's actually not in tune with their fans because they didn't like what was announced. It's just the fan base have no self-control, and that's where you, the consumer, play a role. If you don't like it, don't fucking buy it. I ain't buying no Switch 2, and we was talking about it on the podcast last night. This is the first console I can remember in a long time where I don't even think about the Switch 2. I have no desire to buy this shit, and I will not have a desire until maybe Dust Bloods comes out. And it really depends on if the reviews are good or not. I'm not gonna lie, but do I feel the news? Like, I walk past Switch 2s all the time at fucking Costco. Whenever I go to Costco, I'm like, capitalists and whales, they're born together. Fucking whales, man. Sean Layden talk too much. Consumers have no backbone. No. Well, I'm not gonna go as far as to say consumers as a whole have no backbone, but consumers in certain subsections within the gaming community don't have a backbone. Because I'm not gonna go as far as to say the the Battlefront community doesn't have a backbone, because when they put loot crates in Battlefront 2, people complained until they took that shit off. I'm not gonna say the Helldivers community doesn't have a backbone, because they stood up for their game when they did things that Sony did that they didn't like. But the Minish Cap Mafia, 2K niggas, Madden niggas, FIFA niggas, y'all don't got a backbone. I'm not gonna lie. It depends on what the gaming community as a whole, no, but certain communities within the gaming community, yeah. Dust Blood's running at a hot 30 frames. Shit gonna blow up the goddamn Switch too. Do the Sonic community have a backbone? Absolutely not. They're the original gamers who don't have a fucking backbone, because them niggas love garbage. You niggas sit in my stream and try to defend that Werehog shit still to this day. That game was not good, and you're never gonna convince me. I'm gonna die on that hill. That Werehog game was not fucking good. Sonic in the night. This nigga Sonic is fucking women, bro. That fucking weird ass game. None of those games were good during the early 2010s or whatever. You guys liked those games because you were little kids back during the Wii era. Your brain is clouded by nostalgia. You were fucking 7 when you played that shit. So in your brain, your little 8-year-old brain, you're like, oh, Sonic is turning into the Werehog from fucking Killer Instinct Sabretooth? This is fucking sweet. You eat. But is the game good? No, nigga, I don't want to hear that shit. That's why they ain't remastered it. Don't nobody want to play that shit. Shout out to BTK with this sub. When niggas talk about top Sonic games, they're talking about Sonic 1, 2, 3, Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. Ain't nobody talking about Sonic Werehog, Sonic and the Princess. That's why in the Sonic 3 movie, or 2, whichever one it fucking was, Shadow pulled up. They going Super Sonic. We fighting fucking Dr. Eggman's grandpa. Nobody's talking about those games, bruh. You didn't like The Secret? No, I didn't like The Secret Rings. This nigga laying in the grass, kissing little girls and shit. I was like, yo, what is this bestiality ass game, bro? Sonic 06. Motherfuckers remaking. You spending your motherfuckers is remaking Sonic 06. It had no, it didn't. No, it didn't. There's a project out there. I'm not playing the remake of Sonic 06, bro. I don't care. I don't care about no damn Silver the Hedgehog. Anyways, I'm gonna say that's why that's all why we went for real Sonic Adventure 2 remake. I want Sonic Adventure 3. I don't know why they so scared of that shit. Which, by the way, I seen some people complaining that, EA put out a article saying that they're nerfing the movement system because some people found a way to exploit it. And a lot of people on social media were complaining because they said they felt Battlefield 6 movement was great. But I think the reason some people were complaining about the nerfs is because they didn't see the exploits and how it works. So to give more context of why they're nerfing some of the movement in the game, this is what some people were doing in the beta, and I agree with the nerfs. I do not want to play this shit. The Call of Duty drones. And then on top of that, I think he's using a damn aimbot. Trust me, you wanted this shit nerfed. Yeah, the zoomers. This is not Battlefield. Nah, he just flicking. They were wall jumping as well. Yeah. So just to get more context, and I think they should have put this like in the blog post, but just to get more context why some nerfs are coming to the movement, it's just because some people found ways to exploit it. So that's why. Doing all this but won't boot up an arena shooter, pretty much. Dudes falling and the cursor stay right on the target softly. Right. Exactly. That shit hella fraudulent. That doesn't look fun. Well, they handling it. Thankfully. It was a real beta and they're actually taking feedback. Was that the Battlefield 6 I played? Apparently some people were doing it. Speaking of first-person shooters, failed first-person shooters, failed FPS Spectre Divide could have succeeded in a parallel universe, says the dev team. So what went wrong? I'm not reading all that. All manners of factors play into the game's success, as well as the quality of the game, which for those unaware, if you don't remember, Spectre Divide is the game that came out briefly recently, where you got to play as 2 different characters. It was backed by the popular streamer, Shroud, but literally nobody played this game. The timing of the release was important in how it was compared to its competitors. You got to be familiar, but have a USP. The game, but different, is a tricky balance to maintain. Spectre Divide had a few major issues. Its servers couldn't support the influx of players at launch, and those that did get in complained about the monetization, including a $90 bundle of skins. While many of the best FPS games implement similar monetization, it didn't make for a great first impression. Mountaintop Studios founder Nate Mitchell and Matt Hansen explained more And you can read the full interview here, but a few key points jumped out. Mountaintop didn't want to release its live service SPS game during the hectic Christmas rush, so it had two choices: push it early before it was ready, and continue to work on the updates post-launch, or wait until 2025 and release a more polished game. That would have probably been the better choice. Unfortunately, its hand was forced as the money it had fundraised from venture capitalists wouldn't fund the 100-person dev team until the new year. It was really tough, Henson said, and the pair believed that a more polished version of Spectre Divide would have contained many of the features fans were asking for at launch. However, Shroud's involvement also confused things. The expectation from players, given Shroud's involvement, didn't match our capabilities as an indie dev, Mitchell said. Shroud is usually associated with the biggest AAA titles, and while Mountaintop had developers with that experience on board, the funding, timeline, and scope of Spectre Divide couldn't possibly match that of Valorant's Counter-Strike. I'm gonna go ahead and call a cap on this article. I'm not saying none of this isn't true. Like, the monetization is bad. Maybe it was missing some features that fans were interested in. That definitely played a role. But we cannot underplay the value of what Shroud did to this game, whether it was intentional or not. I remember when this game was announced, he was in the announcement trailer standing right next to the dev team. Yeah, we reached out to Shroud and he's going to be consulting on the game and making it better. So he put his name right next to the game. He showed up in all the trailers. People were thinking this was the Shroud shooter. Then the game came out and this nigga never played the game. Like, I hate to do it to him, but if this is your game, a popular streamer with millions of viewers every month, and you don't play it, why the fuck would I play the game, bro? Because to be fair, and this is why I said, like, I'm not saying that the bundles didn't play a role either, but the devs have to understand the only reason we knew about this game, because it's hard to crack through the zeitgeist, right? The only reason we knew about this game is because it had a popular streamer attached to it. So even if he would have just played it for a week, a month, like a good month or two, maybe it would have instilled some confidence in it. But the fact this game came out and he was playing Marvel Rivals and shit, if the dev doesn't want to play it, why the fuck would I want to play this shit? Not gonna lie, I enjoy Spectre Divide way more than I ever enjoyed. The people who played it seemed to really enjoy it. I know Ethos played it and he said he really liked it too. The concept of controlling two different characters at once from different angles and stuff, it was very unique. But if he's not instilling confidence in it, then why would I? Like, I'm good off that, bro. He was playing the Deliverance game when it launched. Me personally, if I painted a painting, I want to sell it. I want to gas it like, yo, I painted this. This shit is cool. Don't ask me any fucking questions about Spectre. When you're the only advertiser not advertising, you got problems. Yeah, that's why you don't put all your eggs in one basket. So I do think the monetization and the lack of some of the features did play a role, but it's like 60-40. I'm not gonna lie, this is like 60% of fucking Shroud's fault. The other 40% is the stuff that he didn't, the developers didn't implement. But I just don't think it's a good look when the biggest name attached to the product doesn't want to associate with it anymore. Shroud played for about a week and that's how I knew it dropped. To be honest, I played the game and I don't know who the fuck you're even talking about. I just saw a free shooter. Most people associated this game with him. I tested it before it was even out. I didn't care for it. Unfortunate. Gotta call cap on this story. And then last but not least, some good news. I can't stress this enough. In the year where content creators are popping out and saying gaming is dead, you guys picked the worst fucking year to have that shitty opinion. Banger after banger after banger after banger keeps dropping. And ladies and gentlemen, we got another one. Shinobi Art of Vengeance reviews have dropped. 5 out of 5s, 10s, 9.5s, 9s, 8.5s. The current Metacritic is sitting at an 88 overall. We are waging war against you fucking frauds. You want RPGs? We got them. You want side-scrolling Metroidvania action games? We got them. You want multiplayer online shooters? We got them. Pick a fucking genre. There's literally bangers across. You want Souls? Like, we got them. Pick a genre and play something. World War frauds over here. I'm drowning in content. Bro. So if you're interested in Shinobi, the reviews are saying this shit is fire. Yeah, but does it have a ball and a gun? Oh, my bad. It don't got a ball and a gun in it. Hack and slash Ninja Gaiden 4 is coming. We got it. Pick a genre and stick to it. This is the we were talking about it on the podcast. We were all in agreement because Ethos brought it up, and it'll be up sometime later this week. Ethos brought it up. He was like, would anybody agree with the statement that 2025 is up there as one of the greatest years of gaming in all time? I was like, yeah, I'm confident. I'm comfortable saying that. I agree. This is one of the greatest years in gaming. This is up there like 1997, 2012 type shit. Great year. What the fuck are you talking about? There's nothing to play. I feel bad because I don't have enough. And then they just announced, if you're not interested in this side-scrolling Metroidvania beat-em-up type game, Silk Song is coming out like in 2 weeks if you want to play that shit. Silk Song came out of nowhere. 3D, we got 3D platformers, Donkey Kong Bonanza, kart racers, Mario Kart World, the Sonic Crossworlds beta is next week. What are y'all talking about? There's too many games. You want to play a open world action RPG that literally lets you do anything. The Outer Worlds 2 is still coming. I'm drowning. I'm fucking drowning. Yeah, but that shit ain't Grand Theft Auto 6. This decade is looking nice. This shit ain't Grand Theft Auto 6, bro, so it don't fucking matter, bro. Shit is fucking funny. It's a great year for gaming. So yeah, if you're interested in it, the reviews are great. Not my cup of tea. Oh yeah, you got Borderlands 4 coming. Yeah, not my cup of tea, but I'm always trying to put some positive energy into the universe. Let y'all know what's out there. So that's what I got for you for the first batch of articles. What else I got for you? I'm scared for Game of the Year. There's a lot of nominees. Oh yeah, it's going to be a crazy conversation. It's going to be a crazy conversation. For my next batch of articles, we got another confession from a ball and gun gamer. But before I get into it, friendly reminder, because I forgot to do it with the last batch. Friendly reminder, I'm giving away a gaming laptop if you want to get into PC gaming. It can run everything. I'm sponsored by Alienware. I got an extra laptop to give away. Exclamation point giveaway in the chat. You got 6 days left to enter the giveaway. Exclamation point giveaway in the chat. If you're watching on Hokage Highlights, the link will be in the description box below.